To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So we got our new meat birds today. I'll get more into that in a minute. I want you to stick around to the end of the video. I got a book that I want you to check out. I'm not a sponsor of the book. The book was written back in the 80s. It was the very first book I ever read voluntarily. And I think anybody who is watching this channel or has any inclination of doing anything type of off-gridish or homesteadish should check out this book. So stick to the end. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about actually purchasing chickens. Getting chickens is actually kind of a process. So I want to talk to you about some of the lessons that we've learned, some of the mistakes that we've made, some things I'll never do again. Now, you may remember back in February, I ordered chickens from a hatchery in Iowa. That was when we had that big cold snap. Now, you can say that I made a mistake if you want, but I called the hatchery. And it was through the Tractor Supply Store is what it was. It being February, the company's up in Iowa, we're here in Missouri, we're at 0 degrees. I called them and I said, how do you ship these things in the cold? And they went through quite the explanation. That they put them in a box with a warmer, I guess one of these little hand warmer things. They put it into the post office. And then the post office is supposed to be a very responsible organization. And they put the chickens in the truck and they ship it down to Missouri and the truck takes it and hand delivers it inside the post office. Now this is a 3-day process. And the reason they had to do it when they're first born out of the eggs is because they still are getting a lot of nutrition that they had from the eggs. I don't understand it, but they don't need water and food. So I trusted that this organization has done this in the past. They said they've done it. They do it all the time. Don't worry about it. We're here in Iowa. It's always cold. Well, there was some confusion in the shipment. I didn't understand. You know, they ship it on one day and whatever. But the shipment wasn't supposed to take any longer than 3 days. Well, like on the 4th day, I thought, wait a minute, there's something wrong. So I called the Tractor Supply Store. And I asked them what the deal was. Well, they explained to me that, no. The shipping handles on, let's say, Wednesday, and you'll get them on Friday. They promised me that the post office would call me when it gets to the post office, and I even told the lady, I said, I don't know if our post office would actually call me. No, they're under contract. They have to call you. Friday rolls around, I'm waiting for the phone call, and the postman, the delivery guy, stops in front of the house and honks his horn, and I run outside. He says, you need to get these guys in quick. They're going to be cold. They didn't call me. They did exactly what I thought the post office would do. They put it in the car, at 6 o'clock in the morning. He drove around town for 3 hours, finally got to my place. His window's been down the whole time. Of course, probably the heater doesn't work in his car. He's all wrapped up in a big bundle. I get him in the house, and as you saw in my video, they all perished. So I called the Tractor Supply Store, and they apologized, and they refund our money, and asked me if I want to order more. And she said, now, I wouldn't order more because chick days is going to be 4 days from now or 10 days from now, and you can go and get them a chick day. So I thought, well, okay, yeah, that's great, I'll wait. I call Tractor Supply Store in my area and I say, when are you going to have chick days? They said, oh, we're not going to do it this year. Now remember, Tractor Supply Store corporate said they were going to do it. My local store said, oh, no, we're going to do it, we don't have enough employees. And so I called Orscheln, which, by the way, right after all this happened, Tractor Supply Store bought out Orscheln. They said, oh yeah, we got chick days right now, come on in. Well, of course, we're buried in snow, so I have to wait 2 or 3 days. And we finally get to go over there. And we got all these Buff Orpingtons, kind of a mixed breed batch. We didn't know what we was getting, which is what Frenchie is. Right there back in the coop right there, you'll see. All the mixed breed, except Frenchie, died. They got sick somehow and they all died within 2 or 3 days. So then we found a local farmer. She's not really a farmer. She said this is her hobby, but she's got a big place. I would say she's got 2 acres. It's just filled with all kinds of different animals, geese and chickens and different things. And that's where we've gotten all of these chickens. 4 New Hampshires, and the rest of them are Americanas. We've had okay success with them. We've lost a couple, I think. And the way I see it is, it's a hobby for her. And when you go to her farm, they're just kind of running around all over the place. I mean, I don't want to say she mistreats them, but they're not high quality chickens. But I will do business with her again. I was completely satisfied. The problem with these chickens is they're partially raised already. So instead of getting chicken for $1 at Orscheln's that are 2-3 days old, these may be 7 weeks old. I think we paid $6 each for the New Hampshires. And I think they were 7 or 8 weeks old, 5 weeks old. So it went up in price because she raises them a while. She's not too far away. I would say she's probably 15, 20 miles away. We got these guys. These are our meat birds. Cornish cross is what they are. And you'll catch me saying Cornish cross hens. I don't know why I say that. These guys are 1 day old. I ordered them from a local hatchery online, $2 a piece. Got 25 of them. This has been the best experience so far. So I ordered them and I didn't get an email immediately. And I thought, oh, here we go again, just a hassle. And so they had a message box that, you can message them. And they were closed at the time when I ordered them. So you're supposed to be able to talk live. Anyway, I messaged them and said, how do I know when they're ready and when will I pick them up? The very next day, she messaged back stating, oh, they'll be ready on the 1st of July. Call us before you leave. We'll let you know if the order's ready. In this time frame, I received an email from them. It was delayed for whatever reason. Had the order number, had all the information. This was a really good way to go. There was all kinds of handling instructions and instructions on how to raise them in the temperature that they need to be raised, what kind of food you need to feed them, where you can get the food, you can buy the food at their store. And I didn't really have any concept of what this was going to look like. I called them this morning. I said, yeah, I would like to see if my order is ready. And she said, what's your order number? So I gave her my order number. A few minutes later, she got back on the phone. Yep, your order's ready. And I said, well, I'll be there in a couple hours. It's a long trip. It's about 40 miles for us. On our way, we stopped at Orscheln's to pick up some food because we knew we were going to need food for these guys. And we got 18% medicated because they recommend that you give them medication because these meat birds are kind of sickly. I've talked about this. The Cornish cross hens, they die pretty quick. They won't last more than a year, maybe 2 at the most. But if you start feeding them as meat birds, you'll go to 22% at some time. And within 12 weeks, they're ready to butcher. They're 10 pounds. We drive down there. Parking is miserable. It's right in the middle of town. I was surprised. I was expecting it to be a farming community area, but it wasn't. It was right in the middle of town with storefronts and restaurants. And I go into the storefront. It's a storefront. It looked like a regular storefront. They had all kinds of feeders and different bins and just anything chicken related they had available. Feed. It was quite pleasant. I really thought I was walking into a restaurant when I first walked in there. And I was thinking, well, what do they do? Serve chicken? So get in there. And immediately some lady says, can I help you? And so I gave her my phone. She said, oh, there's the order number. Be right back. She went in the back. Everything is immaculate. Just spick and span. I just thought you were going to be walking through this maze of birds. And it wasn't like that. So she got her chickens, came right back out, said, hey, we're going to give you 3 extra. So instead of 25, we got 28, just I guess in case 1 or 2 or 3 die. If they survive, that's an extra 30 pounds of meat. We don't have a lot of electric because we live off solar. So one way we keep them warm is we put a hot water bottle in there and they all snuggle around that. I think I'm gonna put another one in there. So when you got them home, the first thing you're supposed to do is give them water. And they did. They all just packed around the water. They all got a drink real quick. Well, not real quick. I mean, they're still drinking water. When they all seem to settle down from the water, then we gave them some food. And the reason you do that is because you don't want to get the crop compacted right here. That's where the food settles. And so you got to get water in there so it'll mesh up and then send it off to the different stomachs. I just didn't expect it to be such a pleasant experience. Okay, so the book I wanted to tell you about is this Back to Basics, written by Reader's Digest back in 1981. And the reason my grandma bought it was she wanted to build a log house. She built it completely from scratch. She cut down the trees, well, her and grandpa cut down the trees themselves, cedar trees. Now, I know that those that know my grandma better than I do will say, no, it's pine. But actually, she must have misinformed you because I actually had to rip the bark off of it. So we cut the trees down. We rolled them onto this logging trailer that they had. And we took them over to the property. And then the very next year, she paid me minimum wage to strip all the bark off those trees. And it was cedar trees. I'm pretty familiar with cedar trees. I can't stand cedar trees now. They just drive me nuts. So she used cedar trees and built a beautiful log home. And there's instructions in this book on how to do that. like I said in the beginning of this video, I read this on my own. It was sitting around somewhere in Grandma's house before she built the log house. I was probably 10 years old, and I found this book absolutely intriguing. Right here you can see how you can build your own log cabin. Somewhere in here you can make a still. When I say still, I mean you're all going to think alcohol still. I'm talking about an ethanol still. You can actually run your engines off alcohol. So right here it shows you the methane digester right there, and you can run engines off of that. It talks about solar and wind and hydropower. It really has a sequence: how to buy property, how to develop your property, how to build on your property, how to raise a garden and livestock. Talks about chickens and rabbits. And I've learned so much from this as a child. My grandma gave this book to me years ago. Had it when the pop-up camper burned. Well, I couldn't remember the name of the book, so I Googled Yellow Homestead book. That's all I could remember, and it popped up. It was $20 used. This is a used book. You can buy them new. I think they're like $63, quite expensive. But I highly recommend this book. If you're thinking about doing any type of off-grid living or raising some chickens or rabbits. So I hope I can inspire you to look into the past so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.